Hi, everyone, and welcome to Awaken to Rise. I am so excited to be with Michael Mastro today as we talk about Vastu Shastra. So, welcome, Michael, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes. So, to begin, can you please explain to us what Vastu Shastra is and how you became involved in it?
Yes. So Vastu means building and Shastra means science. It is the science of building, and it comes from an ancient body of knowledge called the Vedas, which write about everything from jet propulsion to zoology. It's a vast subject body of knowledge. And there's one part of the Vedas called Atharvaveda, which has to do with improving the quality of your life. And in that, we have Vastu Shastra and the Ayurveda, which is the science of healing, and Jyotish, the science of the stars and how they affect us. Ayurveda has to do with balancing earth, water, fire, air, and space within the body so that we don't have health issues. And Vastu takes that a step further to balance the 5 elements in your environment, which is the body of your body, so that we feel uplifted in our environment. So many people walk into a house or an office and feel like uneasy, like they don't feel like staying there very long. And Vastu is the science that explains why we feel that way. And it's usually because one or more of the 5 elements is out of balance. For myself, I was very fortunate. I was just walking down the street in San Francisco and somebody said, there's somebody giving a lecture on meditation. And that happened to be Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the Beatles guru. And so I attended the lecture and I was very inspired and got to talk to Maharishi after the lecture, and he encouraged me to come to India. I was a young architect, and up until that time, I just knew how to design buildings that I thought were beautiful, but I didn't really think about how those buildings might affect people in terms of their health, their relationships, their finances, and their career. And I later learned from Maharishi that Vastu, the science of Vastu, takes into all of those things into account so that our environment is very uplifting and inspiring us to be the very best in terms of all areas of life. Because what it does is it's designed in harmony with nature. So we get the support of nature in all areas of our life. As opposed to, what people think are some beautiful, very expensive buildings that make you feel uneasy. So I did go to India, and at Maharishi's feet, I really learned about this science. We didn't even call it Vastu at the time, but he was describing buildings that were so palpable, you could feel like you were actually in those buildings. And he talked about proportion and orientation and all the principles of Vastu, which I incorporated into some designs that he was having me work on. And then later, when I came back from India, I was very fortunate to be on the design team for the first Microsoft building and some buildings for Boeing, where I got to utilize this amazing science. And ever since then, people have asked me, what can you do? I love my house. I don't want to build a house from scratch, and so I had learned some techniques to move. Basically in Vastu, what we do is identify where energy is getting stuck in your environment and how that stuck energy creates some stress that affects our health and our relationships, finances, and career. So we identify that and utilize some remedies to get that stuck energy to start moving again.
So let me ask you, how does that differ from Feng Shui?
Sure. So Vastu is said to be 5,000 to 10,000 years old. We know it's at least 5,500 years old because archaeologists in 1921 discovered an ancient city that was built entirely on the principles of Vastu, and they determined that city to be 5,500 years old. About 3,000 years ago, the science of Vastu was carried over the mountains from India to China, and it was adapted to the local cultural and climatic conditions of the time, and became known as feng shui. So Vastu is much older, and it is a science. The Vedas are based on ancient seers and their observation of the workings of the universe and how it affects our physical body and our environment. And feng shui, some of the basic principles of feng shui got changed, basic principles of Vastu got changed in feng shui because they were having some invasions from the north, some storms from the north, and so they changed a lot of the principles around. I've practiced both feng shui and Vastu and just found quicker, more lasting results with Vastu.
Oh, very interesting. So when you work with people, what differences have you found that it's made in their people's lives by just getting that energy moving in their house?
Yes, I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I'm continually amazed on how utilizing these techniques that we have to move this stuck energy how much difference it makes. You know, people from all walks of life approach our company, Vastu Creations, and with different issues, health-wise, like a lot of people are having stress in their relationships, thinking about getting a divorce. A lot of people are feeling very stuck in their career or having difficulty finding a job. A lot of people that approach us have a good income, but they find they have more expenses than income, so they can't save anything. And these simple techniques that we use keep the prosperity in your environment from leaking out. So that helps with that. And then, identifying where the energy gets stuck that it might affect health or relationships or career, getting that to move again makes a huge difference. And people usually, that are having trouble, I did somebody's house. I do it all online now, pretty much. About 2 months ago, and they'd been trying for a year to get a job. And about a week after we did the Vastu, they got 2 job offers, and
wow.
much better than the job that they had lost the previous year. So just all kinds of good experiences come from improving the energy flow in your environment, because that's what feng shui and Vastu do. That's their goal. They just go about it a little differently. Feng shui uses crystals and statues and different more gross elements, and Vastu uses this ancient technology that utilizes frequency, because everything is made of energy anyway. And my favorite quote from Einstein is, if you can match the frequency of what you want, your desired result, your goal, what you want to manifest, then you can actually manifest that. And so we're using certain frequencies to move that stuck energy in a specific way that works. And it's been working for me and my clients for the last 30 years.
Can you give me like a little example of what?
Sure.
Something?
Of what we utilize. Yeah.
Oh, of a situation, like if somebody was stuck, like the person that had the job and what you did just for them that changed the energy for them.
Yeah, another example comes to mind. A doctor approached us about 6 months ago, and they had remodeled their house, and his wife is a airline stewardess. And after the remodel, they noticed they were feeling tired, and he was diagnosed with diabetes and was told that he was going to have to go on dialysis. Had to change his work schedule around, and she was experiencing fibromyalgia and had to stop flying for a while. And so what we did, they had their remodel included a master bedroom addition, and it created a missing corner where a lot of energy was getting stuck that affected the fire element in their house, which has to do with health. So we corrected that, and they got back to me in about 2 months, and his dialysis situation had improved a lot. Excuse me, his diabetes improved a lot, and he didn't have to go on dialysis, and she was feeling much better and was flying again and didn't have the aches and pains and the tired energy. And I have thousands of examples like that.
Oh, that's amazing. It's amazing. So is there any tips that you can provide that the people here could experience the benefits from this right now?
Yeah, so Vastu is all about aligning your physical body and your environment to two forces of nature: the positive solar energy that comes from the east and the positive magnetic energy that comes from the north. And again, it's like I was saying before, that those are really longitudinal and latitudinal lines that we're talking about. So if we can align our body and our building to that, we get the support of nature in every area of our life. So for a lot of our clients, sleep is a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't get good sleep, it affects your health and every aspect of your life. You're not throwing off that stress that wants to be thrown off so that the body can repair itself during sleep. And a very simple thing is we look at is the direction you sleep and how it affects the quality of your sleep, whether you wake up feeling refreshed or not. And so I've been involved in 3 studies where they take 100 kids with similar IQ. They have them study the same materials and take the same test. And they divide them into 4 groups: 25 face north, 25 face east, 25 face south, and 25 face west, when they're studying and taking the same test. And they all have similar IQs, and they're all hooked up to EEG machines to measure their brain waves. So what these studies show is that the kids that face true north or true east did about 20% better on the test. They had better focus and concentration than the kids that were facing south or west. And the kids that face north and east were producing an alpha rhythm, which is a rolling harmonic brain wave. The kids that face south or west were producing a beta wave, which is peaks and valleys. And so another part of this study showed that the kids that face north did better on the left brain analytical math part of the test. And the kids that face east did better on the creative essay part of the test. So something about that right brain facing east supports that creative energy.
When you say facing, are you talking about your feet or your head?
Your head. So
Okay.
like right now, I am talking to you facing true east.
Okay.
So and facing true east or true north, when you do any of your activities like meditation, anything creative like art or music or even cooking, you're putting more love into the food. Your creativity and your focus and your concentration is much, much better if you can face true north or true east. And not northeast. A lot of people think, whoa, that's the best, but true north or true east is the way to go. And the kids that face south and west, they were just getting more tired and fatigued. And it's basically when you're not in alignment with these forces of nature, you don't get that good support that we were talking about. And the other, I started to talk about sleep. So sleeping is huge. And so there are other studies that I was involved in hospitals. 2 hospitals had 50 patients recovering from similar surgery. So 25 of the patients were set up to have their bed on a south wall, and 25 of their patients had their bed on a north wall, the head of the bed. Mm-hmm. And after studying them for 3 days, they noticed that the patients with their headboard to the south were recovering much more quickly, had less complications than the people with their headboards to the north. And what we found out is there are some cultures that bury the deceased members with their heads to the north because the body decomposes more quickly, and we don't want to have that to happen while we're alive. And the reason all this works is positive magnetic energy comes from the north. Our body is a magnet. The positive polarity is in our head. So if we're sleeping with our headboard on a north wall, it's like bringing two positive ends of magnets together. They repel, and it disturbs the blood flow, the circulation, and digestion, and you don't get that REM sleep. Basically, the studies showed that the patients with their headboard on the south had longer REM states and more of them than the patients with their headboards to the north. So those are a couple tips. And the common thing between Vastu and Feng Shui is clutter, things that aren't organized. And so whatever area of the house that you're in, that you have clutter, it attracts some stuck energy. So for example, in the Northeast is associated with the water element and your prosperity. So if you have a closet there, a garage that's not organized, it can affect your finances. And likewise in the Southeast, that's associated with the fire element. So if there's some things that aren't organized, some stuck energy there, it'll affect your energy level and your health. Southwest is earth element. That's how we support ourselves and our family, our career. Some clutter there, or other ways that energy can get stuck, like missing corners or a stove or a toilet in the Southwest can affect your career. Northwest is the air element, and that's affecting our speech and our thinking and our actions. So if there's clutter there, it'll create some stress, reducing the air element, which will affect stress in our relationships. The center is associated with the space element. And a lot of us have an attic or a basement that has some clutter in the center. This can affect every area of our life. So,
well, I was thinking about too is the garage. Is the garage attached to your house? Is that part of?
It is.
Also,
it is.
okay.
If it's some people have detached garages, then the effect is not so much. But if it's attached, then it's part of your house. And if a lot of people just, kind of have the garage as a catch-all for things that they're.
Yeah, you got me thinking. What's my garage look like?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that you can't store things there. That just needs to be organized.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Well, that's great information. So also, I believe you do have a gift to offer to people today, correct?
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So we have a report that's called Vastu for Success that talks about the history of Vastu and gives many tips like I've given today out how you can improve the energy flow in your home and get that supportive nature for better relationships, health, finances, and career. And it goes much deeper into explaining what Vastu is and where it came from and how it works. So yeah, if listeners are interested in that, they can, we'll give the link and you can click on that and you'll be sent that free report.
Wonderful. Oh, great information. Thank you so much for today. I thoroughly enjoyed everything you were sharing. Very nice.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.